Oh, life form. Someone's crying. It's such a sadness. Someone is really weeping. A hysteria. So this one is very emotional, very sad. There was a feeling as if a body was electrocuted. There was this electric shock feeling across the body. I feel heat. Someone has false teeth, like a prosthetic teeth. Someone is trying to rest in order for this unwell feeling that this person is having to go away, hoping that if this person is resting, then they will feel better. Shoes, brown shoes. This one could be an older target because these shoes felt like it just had a vibe of older times. So this could be really interesting.
Shh, do not speak to anyone about this.
What are you doing to me?
It's some kind of a gadget. It's a small box and it does something. It's active. It's moving almost as it works. A pulse meter would measure someone's pulse. This thing is really bizarre, and I have to say we could really be in the earliest 1900s because this gadget feels so dusty and stale and old, and this is not a modern technology. This is really quirky, and it's like the shoes we found. This is some old times for sure. I'm definitely in a different time. I'm definitely in the past. Things feel weird. The materials, the shoes, this box, everything's really weird. Things are getting really weird. We're gone back in time. The person's mind is just racing, like quick, 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 quick. Chaos in the head. The person feels like an older person. Almost like an old man. And there's this weird frantic chaos. It was horrible.
What are you doing to me?
It seemed to be the man who seems to be an older man with white hair, and he seemed to say that to me. But he could have also said it to someone else, so
I know I am not doing a right job.
he's chubby, his body is chunky, like he has white hair, his hair is thinning on the top of the head, balding. His posture was hunched down. He seemed to be very sweaty or otherwise wet. He is the one with prosthetic teeth.
I gotta do this. I gotta fix these things.
He hates his teeth, the prosthetic teeth. These false teeth are a bit loose in the mouth, and he just hates having it because it shifts in the mouth a bit. It makes him angry.
I don't want you to look at me when I'm doing this.
The older man seemed to say to me.
I am not a dangerous man, I promise.
This older man who has this very bad posture, he's just slumped down and his body is so chunky, it's like big folds, or he doesn't have a smooth body. It's along his back, you can see this just irregularities across his body, like fat but not evenly distributed but chunky, and his posture is really bad. He's like this. This man, he feels annoyed by himself. He doesn't think he smells, but he thinks he looks bad. He doesn't want or like women looking at him because then he feels annoyed. He can't handle his own feelings. He wants to go away, to get away from all of this stress. He's trying to do something that feels very difficult.
I don't want you to look at me.
This man seemed to say to me. As I'm doing a push probe on this man, which means I'm just pushing him around a little bit just to feel things as well as to see how he reacts. Pushing him, he lets out this sound like this anguish. It was very strange. I don't think I've ever had a reaction like that. It was a bit odd.
I don't want you to have me.
The older man said hysterically as I touched him gently. He's very frantic.
I don't think I smell bad, but I do.
He feels really unwell, meaning the feeling that he has of himself or of being himself. He has been injured here. He has been in a calamity. There is a frantic mess. RV indicates that he would have defecated on himself, which I wrote down in my text report that this should be a sign that something is really not okay with this man. Meaning he could be injured, he could be stuck, he could be dead, something very severe. This man was sitting down inside a room of some kind, a smallish room. Inside his body there was an injury. It felt like being punctured into the right side of the lower abdomen. I saw an image of what looked like the part of the intestine which has the appendix, and it reminded me of a ruptured appendix. So something similar to that, for sure. I was probing the first object that I found. It has a measuring device inside. It captures things into it. It draws them in. It is hollow inside. It draws maps on its monitor. It removes data and into itself. It draws lines on a map. It is a sensor. It doesn't go anywhere. It does not move.
What are you doing here?
The man said to me. He seemed to see me in this room where he is. He's standing in this room and he has his right hand against the area where I earlier sensed an injury. He's pressing with his hand there. It's a small room and dark. It just doesn't seem to be a normal room in a house, like a square room with a high ceiling. Somehow it's smaller, and this man is agitated. At this moment, I'm there looking at these shoes. I've seen that there's a person who's wearing these shoes, but I'm just looking at the shoes. Like, I'm not looking at the person at this time. I'm just the shoes. Oddly, there's a smell to these shoes. It captivates my interest because there's something so old-fashioned about these shoes. I think the materials that they're made of, it's not like shoes today. RV also told me that these shoes are not made of plastic. There is no plastic residue on them. Is this back in time, in a time before plastic was invented? Before the 1950s, or when was plastic invented? Are we in the early 1900s? This feels really exciting. The person who wears these shoes, it is a human with bad health. Then I caught a smell of fish, cooked fish, and then I saw fish bones that were probably on a plate. You eat around the fish bones, and the fish bone end up being on the plate after you finish your meal. But that also makes me think, like, who eats fish like that nowadays? I think we might be sometime back in the past. There's nothing angry or mad here. There's someone who is very docile. There's no glue on these shoes that RV could recognize. It either means that if these shoes contain glue, then it's not a type of glue that we have today, or that these shoes were entirely made without a glue. Someone is lying down due to a distress. This person feels diseased.
Do not come here anymore. I mean it.
The person who is lying down says to me, it looked like a person with white hair and balding on the head and a big belly. So it looks like the older man. How the hell are you still alive? A man's voice says to me. Why? I answer. Because I would have tried to kill you, that same man's voice. Why? I answer. It felt like the 1970s or something old. Then I saw a man take his false teeth out and put them down on a table. And then I saw a camera, which was an old-fashioned camera. Basically looks like a little box. And on one side of it, it has what looks like an accordion fabric, like you could stretch it. This era, this time, these cameras.
You are probably one of the nicest women when you come here when I feel this way.
It was the man with a hunched down posture, and he said this to me.
I can't anymore. I am done.
The older man says he is tired. He's trying to do something that to him feels like physically heavy and too strenuous for him to manage to do. Someone's taking pictures with an old camera, and I could see the white flashes. One would assume that this camera is the device that we found earlier. And it really is an older type of camera, like 1960s or who knows. Really an interesting model.
I wasn't hit by a train or anything, but I got to get out.
I see the older man again, and he was trying to stand up, but it was clear that he feels weak. His back cannot really support a good posture. And he's really tired and struggling.
I am not angry. I won't quarrel.
The older man says, he doesn't sound angry. He has the palms of his hands facing forward in a gesture of maybe self-protection or pacifism. I find someone who has very big red lips. There's an older person, and this person's face looks very sad. This person has been badly injured on the abdomen or lower abdomen. A deep cut or injury. I have a resentment toward you, a man said to me or said to someone else. The box, which is some kind of an equipment, I saw it again very clearly, so it's very important for this story. This box has some kind of a mirror inside it, which reflects light and produces a flash of light. Someone is making a sandwich, and someone who is here feels no fear, feels strong and brave. I saw a man who was holding a knife in front of him, as if aiming it towards something. He had an interesting jacket. It was brown and short. It has this band around the waist, which makes it a bit tighter around the waist.
I am too weak to run.
This person is sitting down, and this person would have wanted to get up and run or run away, but considers itself physically not fit or strong enough to run. So this person is just sitting there. It seems to be the same as the one I have referred to as the old man, but in this one I wasn't sure if this person is a man or a woman. We don't have that kind of detail yet.
No, don't run.
A man said to someone else at the target. This man seemed to have a thin white jacket.
There's no place to run.
My God, your hair is not even messy. You look beautiful. A man said this either to me or to someone else at the target.
Are you surprised to see me here? I mean, what are you doing?
The balding man said. He seemed to have said this to me.
I guess I had to do it.
The man with the white jacket says, and he licks some blood off from his finger.
Someone needs to go to prison for what they did to me.
I find a weak person who seems to me to be an older person. It seems white skin and white clothes. The breathing is weak but deep, and with effort to make the long breaths.
Do not open this door. Please, hurry and save yourself.
The chunky person is sitting on the floor in a room and said this. It seems the person said this to me.
I don't want to bite my dinners anymore, because I have this. It hurts.
A person about their dentures. Stop, you're doing more to hurt me than anyone has before, someone says to someone else there. My son would have heard about this place by now, someone says at the target site.
Look what you have done.
A person with white skin. This person's hand was seen, and the hand was trembling.
I am not alive anymore, and I know it.
So this chubby, chunky person, I just drew this person without clothes. I'm very sorry, but it's descriptive. So you can see how there's no way to do this and be nice. I mean, part of these sessions is that I draw the people I see, right? So the lower part of the belly has this chunky, wraps around. Yeah. The person who has dentures is inside of a room and sees a door opening as if someone is about to come into the same room. And this person with dentures feels afraid and instantly wants to hide because of the door opening and somebody's coming in. Older person is unstable and tripped, fell over. Someone seems to be cooking sausages and meatballs in a frying pan. And someone who is in this room, it felt like dementia. It reminds me of what I think could be stroke at the back of the head. And it also felt like an older person. Tomorrow I will go out with that body, a man says. What he said, it gave me the sense of talking about a dead body. A person has a fork in the hand. It was as if that person is eating food. A person is on the floor in agony and clear distress. I don't know if those are two different people or if it's the same person at two different times. Someone has pain. It's similar to the feeling of having been cut with a knife. Are you fighting with me? Again, a man says to someone else. There's this machine sound, like a shaking, reverberating machine, like a big machine that's operating, active. First RV said, there's a dubstep sound. RV thinks it's like dubstep, the music. I thought that was so cute.
Please leave. There is a bad man here.
I saw the inside of a kitchen in an expensive house, a residential house, beautiful wood and counters and cupboards. Someone has injured the wrist or ankle, or both wrist and ankle, and this person is trying to run away, limping slowly, but going as fast as they can. I don't like being here. It feels like a hospital.
Damn you!
A man shouts really loud, and after saying this, he spits to the ground to his side. He seemed to say this to someone else who is on the ground. And the man who said this, he was standing there. I will stay safe here if I don't go out. A man with brown eyes and brown short hairstyle. His hairs are thick and straight. I saw and heard this as I was looking to see the face of the person who has dentures. This is a drawing of the face that I saw when I was trying to see the person who has the dentures.
You are the most complicated person that I have ever had to deal with.
The man who earlier spat now said this, and he was looking to the ground, which again seemed as if he was talking to another person who would have been on the ground. This man who spoke was standing up, and I may have seen that this person who spoke would have been kicking at the person who is on the ground.
I'm crying over you and your dead body. Do you know that?
That same man who earlier spat on someone said this. You are not an American, they are telling me. A man said to me, and he was holding up the United States flag in front of him with both hands. A big flag like a canvas. Yeah, I said to him. What's it like living on the other side of the puddle? The man said to me. With puddle he means the Atlantic Ocean that separates the USA and Europe. At least I didn't work in a canning factory. I lived a good life. A person who may have been a woman, but I cannot be sure yet if it were a man or a woman. This was a smaller person. The hair seemed to be light brown in color and straight and almost to shoulder length, but I am not entirely sure. And notably, this person wore a tight-fit turtleneck shirt, which was of a specific peculiar green shade of color that I could only best describe as an army green, or a mashed peas green color, almost a yellow-green color. Everything I have seen so far, including this thought of the canning factory, which would have been a factory that prepares like meat stew into cans for sale, has a feel and look to me that reminds me of the 1930s, but I am not yet stating for sure what time period we are in. There's a man here and he's walking around in his underwear. Could be the chubby person, because this man did have that kind of a body. Not all women want to dress as a princess, but I wish you would, a man said to me or said to someone else. I saw a man who, this one could be the chubby guy, or otherwise they look very similar. This man was wearing a shirt which was blue and white stripes. It just looked like older times. This shirt, like, it reminds me of and feels like 1920s, 1930s, 1910s. It's really freaky to see a shirt like that that's clearly from an older time, yet you're seeing it in its own time and it all looks so real. It's in color, it's not aged. It's really freaky.
I don't have a weapon to defend myself.
A man who is indoors in a room that has at least one bright electrical light from a lamp. He's sitting down, slumped down, and he has the injury at the back of his head which reminds me of dementia. There are wooden tables and chairs, and a faucet for water which is a tap like in a kitchen.
I won't run away from you.
The chunky person who seems to be on the floor says to someone else. The voice was calm and sounded kind.
I feel really nauseous.
Says the chunky person who's sitting on the floor. The legs are somewhat folded on the floor in front of him.
So you're not coming from a squad car? You're not from the police, here to grab me?
Said a man with brown hair. He looks like the man with brown hair and brown eyes that I drew earlier. He's sitting by a table. He has a short brown hairstyle. He might be in his 30s. His skin is a beige but not pale white. He's wearing a tight-fit brown buttoned shirt, type of shirt with short sleeves. He has an elbow on the table, and he seemed to have said this to me as if he saw me. The shirt, again, looks like an older style. It just makes me think of like 1930s, but I'm not entirely sure. When he said squad car, I just knew that he meant a police patrol car. A flashlight? Could the thing that I thought was a camera be a flashlight? I mean, we have some kind of a technical object which creates a flash of light from inside, and I have been assuming all this time that it's a camera, because it feels like it. But now we have a flashlight, so it could have been a flashlight all along.
I am not a captive. I can leave. It is just that I cannot walk.
The chunky white person who is sitting slumped on the ground with folded legs.
I am not depressed about it anymore. I have to accept it.
This person has a sweaty forehead and is feeling nauseous. It feels a heat and a hot temperature. This person is overheating, in fact. This person has eaten enough and is not starving. This person wants to throw up, and maybe it does. This is a humorous person who likes to have fun. This person likes cats.
Are you with the law enforcement? They might try to help me.
The chunky person seems to ask me. The chunky person seems to throw up and then says or thinks.
I guess I can stand, but I cannot walk.
The chunky person seems to get up to standing, but feels with a weak balance to be standing up. I see a man with brown hair, and he's wearing the same jacket that I drew, which is a short jacket, and it has tighter around the waist, and it's a brown jacket, like older style. He has what registers as a paper map, and he has this rolled up paper map in his back pants pocket at the back, outside of the jacket, like you see first this rolled up map in the back pocket.
Did you come to challenge my fate? Because you can't. No one can help me.
The chunky person seemed to say to me. A postage stamp! Literally a paper postage stamp. It was again this old style.
I need to lie down. I feel really weak.
The balding man says, and he lies down. He has barricaded a door from the indoors so that nobody can come in. The brown-haired man who has the short brown jacket, he's trying to get in through the door that has been barricaded. So the chunky, older person is on the other side of that door, and the man with the brown hair is outside of that door and is trying to get in. The brown-haired man with the short brown jacket, he reads a lot of newspapers and newspaper columns. He is really worried. He needs to check something indoors. He wants to grab something from there, and he would hide it in his jacket if he could grab it. He has a scar over his face from an older battle. This scar goes across the left side of his cheekbone almost horizontally and is a red color line across his face. When I look for his profession or career, RV tells me software engineer, so it would be something similar to that, if not that. There is an eagle in a large circle as a picture on the back of his short brown jacket. He likes eating meringue pie. He has been locked up in prison before. He is the man holding the knife. The drawing I made earlier of a guy in a short brown jacket holding a knife, this is him. That is his jacket, and that is his knife. He loves the USA. I see a large flag of the United States. And then Ari tells me his head is screwed on wrong, if you know what I mean. He is not fully there. The brown-haired man is outdoors, standing on a small sand path. He has thrown up on himself, and the vomit is on his chest over the jacket. He is not the same man as the chubby individual. An ambulance comes and picks up the brown-haired man. He has been injured here. He likes listening to people. He's a social kind of person. He's using the knife to carve on something. The kind of carving where one pulls the knife against the surface in order to cut away a piece of it. The knife makes him feel safe against other men. He doesn't think normally. His brain does not fire normally. He likes to think about himself mostly and not about others. He doesn't care about other people, and he often quite easily gets into arguments with other people. He doesn't get along well with others. He carves to feel secure. With the knife, carving with the knife, that gives him a feeling of being secure at that time. He doesn't play with jigsaw puzzles. He doesn't have the kind of brain that likes to think or solve assignments. He likes straightforward things. He likes to go quick and snappy. He does not have the patience to wait. He likes to worry other people the most because then he thinks that they like him. Meaning, if he causes someone else to become upset, he likes that, and he thinks that they are then giving him attention, and he thinks that they like him at that time. He has the wrong hormones in his body, and it makes him think strangely. He has a chemical imbalance, disturbance. He likes to eat sweet things. He has lost a tooth. He likes to damage things.
My father was the same way as me. What am I supposed to do? Eat rats?
I had the sense that he is in a situation where he doesn't have food to eat. He likes listening to music. It soothes him. He is eating a whole block of cheese, and then he feels ill from it and vomits. He was fighting with someone before and he lost the battle. He looks at the box that we saw early in the session and he decides to dismantle it. It seems he's using his knife to destroy this box. He only likes himself when others notice him. He likes to watch other people and what they are doing. He didn't like his father a lot. They quarreled a lot. He liked to lose arguments with his dad, 'cause then he could go out drinking alcohol. He liked women because women don't argue with him. Women can be argued with easier. So we have a man who has some innate fear of men, a fear of his father, but also a fear of other men. But he does not fear to approach and interact with women. He thinks it is cool to be on the run. He argues a lot with people. He is a troublemaker. He feels that he is taking out revenge on his father when he argues with other people.
I am not proud of what I did.
He says he is not proud of himself. He feels miserable about himself.
My pop was a horrible individual.
He says Pop means his dad.
So I guess that's why I am a horrible individual.
The man with the short brown jacket. He doesn't like to listen when people talk too fast. People need to slow down for him. Otherwise he feels agitated and then he can take out his knife. He feels bullied a lot, mostly from other men. He slides down a sand embankment. He has quarreled with someone, so now he needs to leave. He is leaving the problems behind. He doesn't want to vomit on himself anymore. I see kelp on the beach, the kind of kelp that has those pockets of air in them. A brown kelp lying on the sandy beach of a coast.
You are not like my dad, so you can stay.
The man with the brown jacket shouts really loud and says this to me.
You can stay. You are kind to me.
He adds, he says this to me. Thank you. I guess I'm just checking on you to see if you're okay. How are you doing? Is everything okay with you? What's happened to you? Do you want to talk about it? I say to him.
No, not with you.
He says, meaning he would not talk about it with me.
You know, my dad didn't used to let me go outside, and now I can go anywhere I want. Do not worry, you.
And then he calls me by a bad word that I'm not going to repeat.
You were good and kind to me, so I won't hurt you.
The man with the brown jacket says to me. He is standing in what looks like a huge engine room that is dark and metallic, filled with active large machines.
Wow, I can't feel my feet anymore now that I'm in this place.
The man with white hair and balding is standing in the machine room. He is wearing the brown shoes.
Would you help me turn around? I can't, in this mess.
The balding man who is on the floor, he says to me. The box that we have in this session, this is an oscilloscope or a radar. It has a screen on it that draws electronically wavy lines and has a grid lines mesh over the screen. I see someone who is holding a black machine gun. Someone is using a scissor to cut something open. It looked like someone using big scissors to cut someone's clothes open. But a thought that I have logically is that a knife and scissors is a very similar item. When I ask RV to show me where the missing person would have been found, I see this area which has a very big building with many floors. To me it looks like an apartment building, but who knows, office building or anything, but lots of floors and lined up with lots of little windows. That's the blue building I have drawn there. A bit of grass and this courtyard, like a basketball court or something like this. Tall metal fence around this courtyard. In front of this courtyard is a sandy path. It is this path that is indicated as when I'm asking RV where would the missing person have been found. It deals with this path right here. I also see this area which is inside a small forest, or at least inside at the border of a forest. In the foreground, where you see the line of trees, there would be more trees out from the page. But we see the lighter colored grass in the background. We're up on this hill with trees, like a small forest. That's where the missing person would have been found. And looking into the page, the hill would go down, and then the lighter colored grass is lower. It's lower down, and it's an open area of grass. This would be very nearby to the previous drawing I made with the courtyard. These two drawings are connected. It's the same place. As I was trying to see the face of the person who went missing, I find the chunky person again, lying on its back on the ground. This person had a knife that had been stabbed into the abdomen, and the knife was still there. Someone in the area is playing darts in an open club. Whatever open club means. I had the sense that it means that anyone can come in. It's open for everybody. There are cars in the area, but the cars look old-fashioned, maybe like 1960s or so. It's not the oldest cars, the rectangular, earliest cars. It's nothing like that, the box-shaped ones. These already looked like the mass-produced cars for everybody. They have a distinctly rounded shape, smooth shapes. I think a lot of the cars were like bluish, some were like yellowish, different kinds of colors than we would have in the late 1900s perhaps. And these cars were notably a bit smaller. Sometimes in some places cars have been a bit bigger or box-shaped more. These are smallish and roundish cars. Women in this time in the area wear very short dresses. The area has a lot of black smog in the air. Maybe it comes from cars or from industries. I also found a grocery store supermarket in the area. The person who went missing has blue eyes, wore a hat, and is lying on its back on the ground and is moaning as if in agony.
Are you the police?
The chunky person says to me. No, I am not, I answer.
Can you arrest someone for me, please? I used to enjoy coffee and cakes, kinda like you.
The chunky person says happily, and seems to say this to me.
I have done nothing wrong to be here.
The chunky person says, while lying on the ground on its back. The knees are up, but the feet are down against the ground. There is a serious injury to the back of the head, and this injury causes nausea, the feeling of needing to vomit. The chunky person who is lying on the floor has black curly hair, this kind of a skin color, and a bit darker color on the cheeks. I think it's a man, if I had to guess, but I'm really not sure on this one. When I try to look at the face of the chunky person, I see a man with this curly or wavy black hair. His face is very narrow. His skin is a bit dark, especially on the cheeks. It could be that the chunky chubbiness of the body, it comes later, after some injuries or after death perhaps, because I also see the face like this, and it doesn't look like a match to the chunky body, but this is the face I see when I really try to see the face of this body. And this person was being shot at by someone else with a machine gun, and this person was running away. This was in a forest on a path, so this one was running away from the machine gun which was firing towards him. Is someone running in a jungle? I saw what looked like a small Asian or South American tribes or such person on a path through the jungle forest. So I've seen this little Asian looking person that was in this jungle on a path. So we have again this chunky person, as I call it. This is the person who has very dark red lips, big lips. I'm not sure about the hair or the skin color yet. Also not if it's a man or a woman. And again, this person has a big belly. This person was attempting to stand up, but feels like it's really exhausting, like it's really hard to stand up because of the back. So I was looking at this little square box, which is not a flashlight, by the way, because early in session I had the box, then later I said there's also a flashlight. Is it just a flashlight? No, there is also this box, and on one of the surfaces it has a round thing on one of the sides somewhere. And Army told me that this box is not made with typical glue. It doesn't have a kind of glue that we would use today. This is an old time where glue was different. The materials used to assemble a box of this kind is different than what we have today. And as I was looking at this box, nearby was the man who is balding. Then all of a sudden in a flash I saw that we are in a jungle. It reminds me of like a Vietnamese or Asian jungle. Here's my quick drawing of the jungle, just so you see the type of style, kind of what it looks like. I'm about to receive feedback and it's so painful. I can't do this. Okay, I need to relax. Jack Cock, target number 43. Jack Cock is the target number 43. The target is number 43 from my target pool list spreadsheet. The target is Jack Cock. 1919. Well done, well done. I knew we were in the early 1900s. I told you so. All the shoes, the clothes, all that stuff was just so old. I'm so excited. Like all these clues I was having, we're in the early 1900s. The clothes and everything, it was so old. The shoes, even the glue that the shoes were made. And the fish bones on the plate, like everything was so... I said, we are early 1900s. And the target is a man. I knew it. I knew it was a man. I think it's clear from my session as well. Well, there's the face with the curly black hair and the dark on the cheeks. Look at that photo. You can see the dark on the cheeks. That's the guy I drew. So let's read. Jack Cock. John Gilbert Cock, born 14th of November 1893 and died 19th of April 1966, was an English footballer who played for various English club sides as a centre forward. He also had the distinction of being the first Cornishman to play for the England national team, a decorated World War I soldier and an actor. His younger brothers, Donald Cock and Herbert Cock, also played professional football. Playing career. Born in Hale, he started his football career with amateur clubs West Kensington United, Forest Gate and Old Kingstonians. He played 3 Southern League Division II matches in March 1914 as an amateur for Brentford, scoring 1 goal before signing professional forms with Yorkshire side Huddersfield Town later that year. Though the First World War broke out shortly afterwards, He served in the British Army during the conflict, rising to the rank of acting sergeant major and earning the military medal for bravery in the field, and mentioned in dispatches for gallantry. He was reported as missing, presumed dead, at one point during the war. During his breaks from military service, he turned out for London sides Brentford and Croydon Common. While with Brentford, Cock scored 6 hat-tricks, a wartime record he shares with Len Townsend. Cock also played for England in the Victory International in 1919. He made his England debut against Ireland in 1919 and opened the scoring after 30 seconds, which is currently the third fastest timed England goal of all time. He won a second and final cap against Scotland in 1920, again scoring. Owing to his good looks and a tenor voice, Cock appeared on the music hall stage numerous times. During his playing days, he was known for singing before entering the pitch. He also starred in several films including The Winning Goal, 1920, and The Great Game, 1930. He later ran a pub in New Cross. He died in Kensington on the 19th of April 1966 at the age of 72. Good job, girl. So this is Fabian Rush. He was the tasker for this session. And the procedure we used is as follows. I sent to Fabian a target pool, which is a spreadsheet which I created, which had 330 different targets, where each target was a different solved missing person case. Fabian then uses a random number generator in the interval between 1 and 330, which selects for him one of the targets to be the target for this session. And he does not tell me which one is the target until afterwards. The whole point of this is that I don't know what the target is until afterwards. And then Fabian generates a new random target number, which for this one was 0813-1281. And that number is just a random number, which gives me something to look at and something to help me connect to the target feedback, which I will see later. So I then do my session and the remote viewing. I create a text report, and for this one I created 3 drawings. I sent to Fabian the text report and the 3 drawings. Now that he has my report, now he tells me what the target was, and now he sends me the feedback. And all of this ensures that during the remote viewing, I don't know what the target is. And by having a tasker, Fabian, he can verify that I didn't know what the target was during the session. And yeah, so that's the protocol, and that's why we're doing it, is for me to try to show that I wasn't cheating. I didn't know what the target was when I did it. And this target pool I created, it consists of cases starting from 1630s all the way up till 1999. So yeah, if Fabian would just to sort of verify the report that I sent to him before I knew what the feedback was, if you could just read random sentence from each of the pages of the text report and then describe each of the 3 drawings that I sent you.
Okay. Opening up the text report now. All right, we have 10 pages.
Oh my God, 10 pages. Did I write so much?
Oh,
I had no idea. I had no idea. I'm sorry.
I like how you lose yourself when you are doing your sessions. You don't care how many pages or how much you're writing. You just lose yourself and you just record data, and that's great.
Because there was so much talk in this one. I started talking with the guy.
Oh my.
Since it's 10
okay.
pages, you don't have to maybe read everything from all pages. Maybe do every other page. That's good enough for me.
Sure.
So like do all the
Sure. All right, well,
uneven numbers. like 1 and 3 and 5.
Okay, so I will read from page 1. All right, so I am toward the bottom of the page. I'm going to read the second to last section here, IP. It has buttons on it and inside it. It is chipped on the side like a chipped small damage on the exterior on the side. The man is in agony here. Okay, so that's a start. I'm going to skip page 2 and go down to page 3. Okay, the very first sentence on page 3 says, "I don't want you to have me." Older man hysterically as I touch him. So that's something what he's saying. The man also says, "I don't think I smell bad, but I do." All right. Now down to page 5. It starts with just the word dentures. So that's continuing from page 4. Stop. Are you doing more to hurt me than anyone has before? Someone says to someone else there. So we are in some dialogue here. And now I'm skipping down to page 7. After the first paragraph, we have one sentence here, a flashlight. One of those handheld ones that creates a light so that one can see out in the dark. And now I'm down to page 9. Skipping past the first 2 chunks there, I see I'm reading one sentence that says, kelp on the beach, the kind of kelp that has those pockets of air in them. A brown kelp lying on the sandy beach of a coast. And just for the fun of it, I'll just read from the last page, the first sentence on page 10. The person who went missing, eyes are blue, wore a hat, is lying on its back on the ground and is moaning as if in agony. So that's everything from the feedback, the report. And now I'm going to go over to the images that Anita just sent. All right, so the first picture here, I have a picture of a head-to-toe shot of a man wearing kind of a gray long sleeve shirt. He looks like he's balding a bit, and he has a light complexion, darker pants, and brown shoes. On the right side of this image, I see a very nondescript person with very red lips, which might just indicate that they're wearing lipstick or a heavy makeup of some sort, I'm guessing. And in the middle of the page, in the middle of this image, I see 2 boxes with circles in them. The second one being a cube. Moving on to the second image in the report, I see several different people here. There are people that do not look like they resemble each other at all. So I see 5 different people. Starting from the left top, I see an effeminate looking person who might be a woman who has kind of longer hair, possibly blonde or darker, green shirt, light complexion. Beneath her, I see a man, I'm going to guess is a man. It looks more masculine to me. Also a light complexion, wearing a blue striped shirt. To the right of them, I see a person who is holding an instrument that resembles a knife or some other kind of weapon, a tool for cutting. It looks ominous to me because of how it's being held, but I do see this masculine-looking person who looks like they're going bald. Next to them, to the right of them, I see a very heavyweight person who seems to have a whole lot of body fat and obesity. And to the right of that person, I'm seeing another masculine-looking person with brown hair, brown eyes, and a bit of hair on their chin. So that's the description for that image. And I think I'm moving on to the final image now, where I see some more people, and as well as perhaps some descriptions, some image descriptions of a location. So to the far left, I see a little group of trees and some foliage. To the right of that, I'm seeing it looks like a fenced-in area that has foliage on the outside, and I'm seeing kind of above this a cube in the air. I don't entirely understand what that is to symbolize, why it's not connected to the ground, but I assume that just means that there is a structure there within the fence. Toward the bottom of the page, I see more green, which looks like foliage to me. Above that, I see 3 different people. These people look effeminate and have a darker complexion. I only see their faces kind of neck up. So that tells me just describing these 3 people, but they do look feminine to me, and they all have shorter hair. And to the far right, I see what looks like an obese person again. And so that is the description of the 3 images that were sent, the 3 pages of pictures from Anita.
That's that. That's the best way I can think of for you to verify that that's the report you got. And you got this before I knew what the target is.
Yes. And I made sure that you had finished sending all of the images before I sent you the information. I messaged you asking, is there anything else on the way? Just to make sure there was no lag in my receiving your data.
Thank you.
So, and you said that everything came through.
Yeah. And what was the target?
And the target was, I'm scrolling up now in our conversation, the target was random number generated 43, and that target associated with the number 43 was Jack Cock.
Yeah, thank you.
You are welcome.
So that's all we need. We're done.
Awesome.